Because they may say, oh, cleanse me, Lord, and I shall be cleansed. But if you look somebody in the eye and tell them you're clean, it means you're not lying about it, and you mean it with all your heart. And David came to that place. And he said, whenever I awake, that word awake in the Hebrew is when I arise. In other words, when I grow up to the place that I can stand before you and say, I'm in your image, I'm in your likeness. Isn't that really what we want? Yes. I know I went around the mulberry bush this morning, but I'm telling you something. Folks, we got people in here, and maybe some of you, maybe you, I don't know, but we got people in here that's battling with themselves. They can't sit back and go, well, the devil made me do it. No, because you're the devil. Yeah. You're the devil that did it. Your flesh, your mind, your desires, your habits. Now, we're going home this morning, but we're going to look at 12th chapter of Hebrews, verse 1. Danny, if you make me preach this, shame on you. I preached this to Danny, and he was very patient. Linda was looking for him to help her and getting concerned because Danny didn't show up. And it was my fault. I was preaching to Danny, and Danny was patiently listening to me. And when I got through, I had to pull him up out of the weeds. He was crying, and numbness. But listen to this. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. All right, come on. I know it's been a long service, but that's okay. We're learning. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. And it says this. You ready? Read it out loud.
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud.
Wherefore, seeing that we're what?
Are compassed about with
so great cloud of witnesses. Let us do something. Let us do something. Okay, those witnesses are testimonies. If you read the 11th chapter, you find out that's the witnesses he's talking about, all these testimonies of people that overcame and testimonies that won. He said, because we're compassed about, or those witnesses are witnessing to us and for us about what we can be in Christ, he said, here's what you got to do. Let us lay aside. Everybody say, lay aside. Now, look at me just for a second. Say, hold your hand out. Let us lay aside. You got it in you. You got it in your hands. You have to lay it aside. Okay? Lay it aside. How many? Every weight and sin that so easily does what? Beset us. You know what the word beset means? I'm going, what's a sin laying aside? Beset. What's a beset? I didn't know I had a sin that was a beset. But do you know all people probably have a sin that's called beset us? The word beset is this. Do you know what it means? We can go on home if you know. But the sin, let us lay aside. Here's what he's telling us to lay aside. Every sin or every weight and sin. Some things that we have is not a sin, but it's a weight. It's heavy. But the sin that besets us is this, the sin that has become a habit to you. He doesn't want you to take that. He doesn't want me to take that into the power part. There was a time that if you would have taken that into the power part, you would have been destroyed. If you'd have taken that to the holy temple and walked into the presence of God with weights and sins, you would have been zapped. And they'd go, cremation. Yeah, zapped your tail real quick. But today, because we're under grace and we're not getting zapped, you ever seen a bug zapper, like a fly zapper out there? That's the way it was in the Old Testament. Now, because of grace and God's loving mercy, he's telling us this. I'm coming after a glorious church. I just want you to lay aside every weight and habit of sin. Usually most people have one or two real serious habits of sin. Just lay them aside. Now that sounds real easy, but it's harder than you imagine. Anybody ever tried to lay something aside and pick it up? Oh my God, I throwed my sins out the window before. I've broken the bottles of them. I burnt the magazines of them. Am I talking to anybody? I even thrown away everything. And they go, where did I put that? I know it hit right here. It got zapped. But if we do that, and we learn to walk in the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit walking in us, and we live the life of the Holy Spirit, everything is beautiful. Because if you don't, sooner or later, you know what happens? And you know what? You know, people that don't lay aside stuff, they see somebody that is in sin, they'll do one of the two things. They'll either condemn those people that's in sin to cover themselves up, or they'll do this. They'll go, I sure hate to hear that. Because they know that it should have been them. Has anybody ever done anything? Oh, listen, we have an officer of the law here, so I'm going to be careful what I say. But I want to say this. If I'd been caught of everything that I did that was illegal, I'd still be in jail. Don't investigate me, please. He's going there. He said, I rode to Oklahoma City with him. I could have arrested him 10 times, but anyway. But honestly, and then when you see somebody and you're not clean, you see somebody in the same thing, you go, oh, God, that should have been me. But yet that could be part of your cleansing. Laying it aside, going, you know what? I'm just thankful, Lord, that nobody can make me glorious but you. And that's really the message. I'm not asking you to do anything except let him be all in you that you know that he wants you to be.